Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like having a first aid kit, but not keeping it stocked up. Most of the time, you'll probably be fine. But what if you suddenly get into a horrible accident and there's nothing in your first aid kit to help you stop the bleeding? Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/ratchet. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/ratchet. So many people, self included, have trouble falling asleep. There are so many hacks out there: noise machines, no snacking at night, yoga before bed, anything. Instead of trying them all, you can immediately transform your sleep with Bowl and Branch. Bowl and Branch's signature sheets are the perfect way to start upgrading your sleep and are designed to feel incredible for all sleepers. Sleep better with the softest, most breathable bedding from Bowl and Branch. Go to bowlandbranch.com/ratchet for 15% off your first sheet set, plus free shipping. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/ratchet for 15% off. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. We're a little late today. I'm recording this on Saturday morning. I didn't get much sleep on Thursday, so I was kind of in a fog all day Friday. Recording when I'm half asleep is a nightmare. The way I stumble over words and then the editing process is just not worth it. It's better to just wait until I've been to sleep. Last night was a little better than what it used to be, but not as good as it was for that short little stretch where I was actually sleeping through the night. I think I got like 5 hours last night, 3.5, and then waking up, and then another hour and a half, and then just wide awake. We've got some updates this week on things that we spoke about. I covered Met Gala fashions in the last episode, and several of you wrote into me and they said, you didn't mention so-and-so. And no, I had very clear criteria. I only mentioned looks that I really, really loved or I really, really didn't like. Like there were so many looks, I can't mention everything. That the looks that I really loved, I wanted to acknowledge, and the looks that I was just like, girl. And I left some people out too, because I think my commentary would have been a little mean. I didn't really think that added to useful discussion. Yeah, so if I didn't mention one of your faves, it's because it wasn't my fave. It just didn't inspire me to mention it. That's all. If you love a look, please continue to love it. I just don't share the same sentiment about it, and that's okay. I saw there was some kerfluffle, which didn't even cross my mind at the time. I saw Angel Reese was at the Met Gala. I realized that the WNBA season had started. I assumed that she had games. It just never crossed my mind that it would be an issue that she attended the Met Gala, unless, she was skipping a game to attend it, which I'm like, hey, I want to have all the fun too. And I said about a couple people who were missing from the Met Gala, I said, well, maybe they're at work. Like we talked about how Fantasia wasn't there. We talked about Danielle Brooks not being there. And I was like, surely they were invited, right? And I said that I think if they're working, I was like, you couldn't get the day off? Like it's the Met Gala. I think it's a little different when you're working on a movie set and established in your career and working on a movie set versus you just got to your professional NBA team and taking the day off, which all of that is non-existent because Angel Reese did not have a game. She was free and clear. So she flew out to the Met Gala and then she flew back and her team played against New York and they won by like a landslide. So it was a non-issue. But I guess on the front end, at least before Angel and her team won against New York, she was getting a whole lot of flack. And people were like, do you want to be a model? Do you want to be a celebrity? Or do you want to be an NBA player? Like you can't be gallivanting in the middle of the season, going to galas and walking red carpets. Like you need to focus on the game. I saw Angel Reese posted. She said, I could do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. I appreciate the quote. The church I grew up in, it's Is it Philippians 4:16? I don't know all Bible verses like that, but it was literally, it was written across the archway of the church that I grew up in. Philippians 4:13. The church I'm speaking of is actually my grandfather's church. My mother and I were both raised in that church. Actually, no. We're going to continue talking about the Met Gala because I want to talk about the pastor who shushed the woman, Shaunie husband. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about Angel Reese. We just talked about her. And I want to talk about Erykah Badu because I said something about Erykah Badu's outfit at the Met Gala. I said something like Erykah does Erykah. It was on brand for her. I'm not taking that back. What I'm adding, Erykah did a collaboration with Instagram for her Get Ready for the Met with Me, Enjoy the Met with Me, including the after parties. Erykah Badu wore this dress, amazing dress, black floor length with a fashion would call it a bustle, but it was more like an insert to exaggerate her backside, her bottom part. The silhouette of the look in particular was an ode to Sarah Bartman, Venus Hottentot, the black woman who was exploited for her shape by white folks in Europe, I believe in the 1800s. But she wore this look to the after party, and I was like, girl, why you ain't wear that to the Met? Remember I said about Erykah, and I was like, she's got this outfit. No, I said it about Lizzo actually, but it applies to Erykah too. And I was like, if you're gonna go off the rails, like it should be something that's flattering, make a statement. And I was like, her after party look, the Sarah Bartman look, if you go on her Instagram, it's worth the view. Her Sarah Bartman look really did make a statement, and she looked stunning. My la word. She could start using amazing. It's like this nasty black hat on a tilt. She had the bamboo door knocker earrings and then like the draping of the outfit, even with the exaggerated booty. Like it was a lot. It was to make a statement, but she just looked good. To me, that was fashion diplomacy. Also, Usher's red carpet outfit. Usher can do no wrong to me. His Met Gala look was okay. It was fine. He looked great because, it's Usher. He posted a picture of his post gala outfit. I don't even know what the party was that everybody went to. He was in there with Erykah Badu. There's a picture of them loving up on each other. He had on this like oxblood suit, no shirt underneath. I don't know how to describe the way that it closed. It closed on the side. And then he had this flower. It would be like a brooch, but you can't call it a brooch. It was like fresh flowers on the side. And then he had like ruby and diamonds, the diamonds that he has in his ears, but not in the lobe, like on the upper ear on the inside, those gigantic diamonds. They were ruby and diamond. And then he had on all these chains, not gold, diamond chains. And then one of them was rubies. Woo! He looked good as hell. And I was like, sir, that was your red carpet moment. Oh, another one of our updates. I think we're officially doing an Essence Watch segment to figure out who is going to be performing at this festival that takes place in less than 2 months. And 3 acts now have been announced. There's Cash Money, Janet Jackson, and since we last spoke, Charlie Wilson. That's 3 acts. There's usually at minimum 5 performances per night at the official concert. So 15. So now we have 3 acts. There's 12 more spaces minimum to fill. Again, less than 2 months before the concert. Charlie Wilson, I love me some Charlie Wilson. I love me some Charlie Wilson. Charlie Wilson is not a headliner for Essence. It's Janet Jackson, I think, is the headliner for Sunday. Don't quote me on that. I saw someone had looked up Janet's tour dates, and she was in another city on the Friday of Essence Fest, another city on the Saturday, and Ticketmaster didn't list a date for that Sunday. So that's how they concluded that Janet was performing on Sunday, which I was like, I feel like that's sound logic. Cash Money, I personally don't think that's a headliner. It is New Orleans though, but still, Cash Money doesn't feel headliner to me. But even say you got these 3 people as headliners, like, in a weird, wild world, where the other 12 acts? Look, Lovers and Friends in Vegas got canceled due to wind. All of the people on that lineup, and that was a really good lineup too. All of the people on that lineup have a show prepared. If you don't call them folks and pluck them off one by one and get them to show up for Essence Fest, the cancellation of Lovers and Friends should be viewed by Essence as the best thing that ever happened to them. Manna from Heaven. I'm looking at the lineup right now because I remember when this came out, I actually debated flying back, and I was like, fly back from South Africa? It's 15 hours to get from here to the East Coast. Do you know how mad I would have been? I saw people who drove over from LA to Vegas and Lovers and Friends were canceled and they were online ranting and raving. If I flew from South Africa to see this, Usher would have to come into my hotel room and perform confessions for me personally for me to get over it. Then I'm looking at this lineup. So Janet Jackson, Essence has already plucked her. Great. Lil Wayne, is he performing with Cash Money? I just sort of assumed, but then now I'm not sure. Do they still have beef? Nas, Nas, I think, is headlining the Roots Festival. I'm seriously debating. I'm supposed to come back home on the 4th or 5th. I'm seriously debating changing my flight to go to the Roots picnic to see Nas. I've never been to the Roots picnic. One of my friends is working it. That's why I was like, oh, maybe I should go this year. Nelly. They also have Ashanti. Ashanti looked like she's about to give birth any day now, so probably not her. Akon, fine. Neo, fine. T-Pain, fine. TLC, not mad. Sierra, she posted some of her show that she was going to do at Lovers and Friends. She posted some behind the scenes video. It looked like a great show. Go ahead and throw her on the stage at Essence. Usher, I heard Usher is very expensive. I have a very good contact in the music industry. He said Usher's rate was 1.1 to 1.5 million American USD dollars in dineros before the Super Bowl. But it said Usher was going to perform confessions at Lovers and Friends. I mean, it's his festival. He can do whatever he wants. He can't just move all of that over to Essence. I know Usher's expensive. I mean, he should be. But at this point, who else y'all paying? Y'all only got 3 acts. Pay Usher's people who do Lovers and Friends to collaborate at Essence Festival, and y'all got a whole lineup right there. Problem solved. All these acts have an act prepared. Alicia Keys, I, I don't want to hear Alicia Keys sing live, but if she would like to play the piano, we have never criticized her piano playing, never once. She could be like the Roots. You know how the Roots are like the official band of like everyone great? She could be like the official piano player. Okay, I'm moving along. Mary J. Blige was also performing Lovers and Friends. Look, Mary J. Blige, back up. Frankie Beverly and Maze, which I'm still not mad at, used to close Essence Festival every year for years. And then they stopped closing, and Essence decided to like get a refresh and update. And then Mary J. Blige closed it for years. You have not lived until you have been in a stadium of black women singing, I'm going down. I'm going down. You've not lived. Or seeing Mary, like the original Meg Nees, hopping around the stage on I Just Want to Be Happy, living. It's like church. It's such amazing energy. Bring Mary J. Blige back. Whatever she's asking, cut the check. You ain't got no people performing. Y'all gotta still have some budget because ain't nobody booked. Book less people but better performances. Whatever Usher wants, pay him. Whatever Mary wants, pay her. Okay, I'm still looking at this list. Timberland, okay. Keisha Cole, very relevant in the moment, not mad. Brandy, okay. Monica, okay. As long as they're not there together, that's fine. Eve, okay. Jodeci, I saw Jodeci 2 years ago. They were sober and singing well. They opened for New Edition, great. Kelly Rowland, yes. Sean Paul, look, you ain't got nobody else. You can't be picky. Fabulous, no, because he beats women. Robin Thicke, no, because I don't like the way he treated Paula. 98 Degrees, not going to happen. Tyrese, over my dead body. Method Man and Redman. If y'all don't just go ahead and put Method Man's fine ass back on that stage. Rick Ross. The game is trying to bait him into a beef right now. And I was like, I ain't heard the game's name in a month of Sundays. I was like, sir, you're just trying to be relevant. As far as diss tracks goes, it was actually really good. The game found a million clever ways to be like, you're a CEO who's been masquerading as a drug lord and you're fat. I was like, sir, we're all beefed out. Like we spent all last weekend with Kendrick and Drake, who, whether you like them or not, they're two of hip hop's biggest heavyweights. You, sir, are you relevant? Reminding Rick Ross that he's a CEO who's like perpetrating. I literally said this within the last 3 episodes of the podcast. Like everyone knows it. We've all accepted it. We gave up on caring about his authenticity a long time ago. And he is still a fluffy man. He's much less fluffier. Remember he told people he lost all that weight eating pears? Rick Ross is a comedian. Can't be mad at Rick Ross. He doesn't take himself too seriously. I can't. He's like, you fake ass Biggie. I mean, okay, sure. You're not lying. I just don't care. Rick Ross on stage at the Essence Festival, Susan Taylor, she's alive. She's not rolling over in anything. Susan Taylor would never. But after they had Meg twerking on the stage last year, another Susan Taylor would never. Susan Taylor also hasn't been EIC since it's been nearly 20 years. Jeezy, how do we feel about Jeezy right now? I need him to account about where Jeannie's bruises came from before I can accept him back. Fat Joe, okay. T.I., not the biggest fan. Mario, fine. We know he can hold a note. Maya, yes. Khalees, yes. Khalees been parading around Africa, literally the continent. She's been in multiple different countries for like a month at least. Lloyd, Drew Hill, yes. All of them can sing. Carrie Hilson, not bad. Lupe Fiasco, can they breathe? Can they perform? You ain't got no lineup. Go call all these people. Too Short, Cameron, only if he wears the pink fur. Twister, I'm fine. Juvenile, I think Juvie would be with Cash Money. Paul Wall, can we have white people on the Essence stage? I need to go speak with somebody with deeper institutional knowledge. Actually, I did. We'll talk about that in a second. There's a reason I just asked that question. Trina, Yin Yang Twins, David Banner, Plies. You even saying his name amuses me. Yes. John B, 112. 112 never made a bad album. Jay Holiday, Jaquan. Okay, now we're going too far. This is a lineup of like 30 people. Everybody except Ashanti should be able to perform. And some of the white people. Like Gwen Stefani is high on this list. I didn't even name her because that's not a possibility. Oh, Snoop Dogg. Susan Taylor herself might run on stage and push him off. I mean, he is Uncle Snoop now. We are long removed from doggy style. I talked to a really good friend the other day because I've been talking about Essence's lineup and he listens to the podcast. He's the one that actually told me Usher's price. But so I've heard from a very reputable birdie, there's an ask out for Adele to perform. I was appalled when I heard it and I was like, Adele, Adele. And you know, I love Adele down. But I was like, a white woman headlining Essence? And she would have to headline because she's Adele. I reached out to one of my friends, also a former editor, and I was like, girl, Adele. And she was like, yeah, that's not the first time. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it was contemplated before. But she was like, the same exact reaction that you're having, some of them had too. I said, them? Like, you're othering yourself. You're saying they had it, but not you had it. And so she was like, yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. And she was like, I love Adele. She's like, black people love Adele. And I was like, they do. But I was like, you're going to have somebody perform at the festival who can't appear on the cover of the magazine? And she was like, I mean, it's Adele. On further consideration, it was jarring to my ear when I heard it, but I also remember trying to look up Adele tickets and a decent seat. I mean, like somewhere in like the A through Z in the orchestra was something like, I don't know, starting around 3,500. I couldn't find a decent seat. Like even up in the rafters was like 1,000. And I was like, wait. Let me think this out. And I was like, so wait, I could go see Adele. I could buy a 3 night ticket for all of the concerts. That's cheaper than what I would have paid for one Adele performance. I'm not really mad at it. Has a white person performed at Essence before? I feel like John B. or Robin Thicke might have snuck in at some point. As a matter of fact, I believe I saw a lineup from one of the early Essence festivals, like when Luther and Patti LaBelle were performing. I want to say Tina Marie might have been on the list. Don't quote me on that. But headline, I also heard there was an inquiry, not an ask. I heard there's an ask for Adele. I heard there's an inquiry about Kanye West. And I was like, no. Now y'all going too far. Y'all can't put an anti-Semite on the stage. And more importantly, I guess in this context, anti-black. You can't put Kanye on the stage. Kanye with a microphone in front of an audience of 60,000 black people, he's liable to say anything. Contractually agreed or otherwise. Anything. Y'all can't do that. That's a PR nightmare waiting to happen. He bring out his half-naked white wife and have her parading around the stage at Essence. Y'all thought the twerking with Megan was bad? Oh no. Oh no. Adele, I can wrap my mind around. Kanye, absolutely not. Say it ain't so. Say that ain't so. If that's the direction that you're going in, go in another direction. I'm actually kind of excited about this Adele thing. Mind you, I still, as of today, 2 months out, am not booked and have no ticket. I don't even know if I'm going to Essence. I'll figure out a way to get there though if it's Adele. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like having a first aid kit, but not keeping it stocked up. Most of the time, you'll probably be fine. But what if you suddenly get into a horrible accident and there's nothing in your first aid kit to help you stop the bleeding? Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, cafes, hotels, airports, any hacker on the same network can gain access to your personal data, like passwords and financial details. And it doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone. Just some cheap hardware is needed, and a smart 12-year-old could do it. Your data is valuable. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling personal info on the dark web. So, this is why you should be using ExpressVPN. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so hackers can't steal your sensitive data. And it's super secure. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. My favorite part, it's easy to use. You just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. I have ExpressVPN on all my devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more. So you can stay secure on the go. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/ratchet. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/ratchet. Having a budget doesn't mean not having fun. When you find new ways to save, you can reach your financial goals easier and still have the occasional treat. Join millions of Chime members who are working on financial progress. I love Chime. If you're low on funds, Chime has got you. Chime has spotted members over $20 billion. Spot Me is very simple. Set up direct deposit into your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to your limit when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance, and Chime never charges fees or interest for using Spot Me. Take control of your finances and say goodbye to monthly fees. Open your account in minutes at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank North America or Stride Bank North America. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. Let me look up this lady new last name so I can talk about this. I want to talk about Shaunie, but I don't want to call her by her old name. Henderson. She got a new husband now, Keon. Pastor Keon. We're going to talk about him too. She's been married to him for a minute. I don't want to refer to her by her ex-husband's name, even if the story we're about to talk about involves her ex-husband. Shaunie has a new book. It's a memoir, Undefeated, Changing the Rules, and Winning on My Own Terms. I would like to read it. I think we should read it together, but I don't know what the possibility of that is. We are so far behind on our unofficial book club. This is all my fault. We were supposed to read Pinky Cole, which we still will. I have the book with me. We were supposed to read Pinky Cole, followed by Tabitha, and this should have happened in February and March. Here we are in May. But I really do want to read Shaunie's book. I don't think we can commit to it as a book club pick, but when I get a chance to read it, I'll recap it. Shaunie has this new book that just came out, and one of the big revelations that everyone is speaking about is she writes in the book, looking back, I don't know that I was ever really in love with the man. She's referring to her ex-husband. They were married for 6 years, 7 years. They had 5 children together. I'm reading this on People. They note, quote, over the course of their relationship, which began in the late 90s and ultimately ended in 2009 when Henderson filed for separation, the couple struggled with infidelity, which O'Neill admitted in his 2011 memoir, Shaq Uncut, My Story. Am I remembering correctly? I think it was Shaunie and Shaq's story. Shaunie told this story about Shaq's, I guess, girlfriends, mistresses, whatever you want to call them, would come to their home and ring the bell trying to access Shaq at his marital home. That's the level of misbehavior that he was having out in the streets where his girlfriends felt comfortable going to his family home. They knew that man was married with a bunch of kids. He was so disrespectful that his side chicks felt comfortable coming to the house. That's wild. She said she was, quote, in love with the idea of being married to the man I had a family with and was in love with the idea of building a life together. That's fair. Oh, correction. They share 4 children together. Shaunie has a child from a previous relationship, and then Shaq also has a child from a previous relationship. So they were raising 6 children together. Shaunie continues that she said she did enjoy spending time with O'Neill, but she says he was trying to be a world class 30 something multimillionaire with thousands of women throwing themselves at him at the same time that he was being a husband and a father. Well, that is quite the conflict. Shaq got wind of the quotes from Shaunie's book and he posted on Instagram, quote, I understand I wouldn't have been in love with me either. Wishing you all the best. All love, Shaq. Which I can imagine hearing that the mother of your children, somebody you were married to, obviously it's no secret that there were issues in the marriage. But I imagine hearing that someone who birthed your children and you were married to never loved you would be jarring. Even if, given his infidelities and the hell that he has admitted to putting her through, it would make sense. I get it. I'm not mad at her at all for saying it. Like, I mean, it's her truth. I do respect Shaq for taking accountability. And he said this before, not in this instance, but he said before, like he was a terrible husband. He's been very clear about that. So him taking accountability here is very much in line. I think this could have turned into a big drama for both of them if Shaq hadn't responded in the way that he did. It just takes all the conflict out of it. My version of events is X. And then Shaq says, yes, I agree. Her version of events is accurate. There's no story. There's no conflict. They're not going back and forth. The story is dead. Like, there's no need to go drag up and prove a point where Shaunie said he was trashed because this, and this, and these are all the things that Shaq did, and it was documented in this year, and this year, and this year. Like, there's no story. She said he was trash. He agrees he was trash. Okay. Now there's nothing. Back to Shaunie. She says of her book, I always had a fear of sharing too much and telling my story that involved anybody else. I didn't want to disrespect someone else's story, even if it was a part of mine. But as I get older and do more things in the entertainment industry, I found that people have a misconception of who I am. She says anything involving Shaquille is always a sketchy thing because he is who he is. And despite what our story is, no one ever wants to hear what could come across as not the greatest reputation. She also added that her ex-husband, having publicly admitted to infidelity during their marriage, she said, quote, it made it easier for her to open up in the book. Good for her. I really look forward to reading her book. Shaunie's husband, Pastor Keon Henderson, down in Texas, he's the pastor of Lighthouse Church in Houston. He was in a viral video most recently. In the middle of service, I got the impression that he had finished the sermon and he was going into a praise and reflection sort of phase in the service. But the church was very quiet. He was praying. He was beginning to sing softly. It seemed like a time for meditation and reflection. Out of nowhere, and this is just the video clip that I've seen, no more than 30 seconds, a woman is yelling on some like exorcist type ish. She is yelling at the top of her lungs. I counted this woman yelling at least 7 times on this video. He shushed her. He told her to hush. I think he said in Jesus' name. And she did quiet down. People saw the video. I would say probably half. Half the people were like, I can't believe he hushed this woman. She was in communion with God. She had the Holy Spirit. And who is he to shush her? I think he hushed her and he snapped. People were like, that's how you hush an animal, not a person. Like, no grown man should be speaking to a grown woman that way. It's very disrespectful. The woman was also in the choir stand. We'll get to that in a second. But he told her to hush, and she did hush. And there was a lot of outcry about it. I think Shaunie was already scheduled to be on Tamron because her book was coming out. But she and her husband ended up on Tamron. And Tamron asked him, she said, you've been in some hot water over this video. He said, quote, what people have to understand is that every time you hear noise in a church, it isn't worship. And so there has to be order. He said he brought order to his church so people could hear God and not her. And I'd do it again if I needed to. He also said on Tamron, he said, this has been an ongoing issue with this congregant at the church. He said other people at the church have spoken to her about her disrupting service. He said this has been going on for 4 years. She's been hooting and hollering like this is service for 4 years. He said the other people who've spoken to her, he has personally spoken to her and told her to stop disrupting service, and then she continues to do so. He says that the video that people are seeing is him finally telling her in front of the church to stop. She hollering in public. He addressed her in public. My church people say that's not right. They were like, the rules that operate in the outside world are different in the church world. And I said, are they? Because the people in the outside world are the people that go into the church. Also, someone who's raised in the church, I do a consistent bedside Baptist now. But like, just because I don't go now don't mean I ain't never been consistently for decades. Every church has its own culture. Some churches are big drum churches. Some churches are can't wear pants churches. Some churches are make a big joyful noise unto the Lord churches. Some churches are silent churches. Some churches don't clap. My mother would tell you the rules of a church, and you don't clap in church. You say amen. That's your clap. Every church has its own culture for how it operates. This woman who was yelling in the church clearly comes from a background where making big noise in church, hollering in church is just fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to police how anybody praises the Lord. Pastor Henderson's take on what the woman was doing, he says every noise is not in worship and praise. He's kind of implying that, there may be some ill intent to the woman's noise. I'm not comfortable making that assessment, but clearly she is someone who likes to hoot and holler for whatever reason that she does. There is nothing wrong with that. There are church cultures that encourage that. She needs to find a church home that is aligned with the way that she likes to praise the Lord, because he's overseeing a big church. There's tons of people in the congregation. There's tons of people in the choir. She the only one making noise. Other than the pastor singing and speaking, other than the music playing, you can hear a pin drop in there. Wasn't nobody else making all that noise, just her. If that's how you like to praise the Lord, amen. You need to go to a service that is best suited to you and how you praise the Lord. I remember when I moved home from New York, I was looking for a church home near my home. The church that I grew up in DC, I'd have to drive all the way downtown, which is fine. But the pastor I had grown up with and his son were deceased. I hadn't lived back home just in the whole area in almost 20 years. So I didn't feel connected to that church anymore. So I was looking for something close by. I went to several different churches in my area to find what worked for me. I eventually settled on Alfred Street, even though it's not close to me, and even though I don't physically go, but I tune in on a regular basis because that's the church that worked for me. But I searched out different churches to find what felt like a fit. The way that this woman worships and the culture of this church are not a fit. And that conversation should have been had with her a good 3 years and 11 months back. They didn't let this woman hoot and holler this way in this church for 4 years. 4 years. The pastor said it, and I was like, there's no way in hell. And then the shade room reposted the clip from the pastor saying it. And there were people from the congregation in the church, and they were like, every Sunday. If you go rewatch the live feed of the service, you can hear the woman hollering every Sunday. This woman been showing up every Sunday for 4 years. I said this in the comment section. I'm probably going to hell. I see some of y'all there. And I was like, look, the people sitting up in that church, pastor included. I was like, y'all too saved. Y'all too saved. Because one good heathen, one good infidel, the second Sunday she hollered like that, somebody would have yelled out Will Smith style at the Oscars and told that lady to shut up. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's godly. I'm not saying it's appropriate. I'm saying she would have shut the up. Y'all wouldn't have been putting up with all that hollering for 4 years if there was one good heathen, one good infidel amongst y'all. That's the most saved and sanctified congregation I've ever heard of. Ain't even one good asshole in the church. Also, where are the deacons and the deaconesses? I feel like the ladies in white with the matching hats and the Kleenex box, is that not what they do when people catch the spirit in church? I didn't grow up in a church where catching the spirit was common. It happened every now and again, and it was accepted. When people fell out, when people started hollering, like you knew, like the spirit had got a hold of them, and people would clap, people would amen, and the deaconesses would come and they would care for the person who was having an experience until they calmed down. That was permissible. But just yelling every Sunday for years, girl, that's really some ish I would leave a church over. If that was my church home and every Sunday I had to listen to that woman yell like that, I probably would have found a new church home. In my head, I would be like, they ain't got no order. Like this woman is yelling like this and disrupting service and no one's stopping her. She's doing this every Sunday. Like this is the culture of this church. This culture is not a fit for me. I need to find another church home. Every Sunday, I kind of put it on him too. And I was like, somebody should have said something to her, which they did. After the first time they said something to her and she did that ish one more again, give her a second chance. Hey, we already talked about this. Now you're doing it again. We told you to stop. You got to stop. The third time, she would have been asked to leave. Churches absolutely do ask people to leave. It is not unheard of. You can't just let one person disrupt your service like that for years. Years? Girl, bad. So many people, self included, have trouble falling asleep. There are so many hacks out there: noise machines, no snacking at night, yoga before bed, anything. Instead of trying them all, you can immediately transform your sleep with Bowl and Branch. Bowl and Branch's signature sheets are the perfect way to start upgrading your sleep and are designed to feel incredible for all sleepers. These best selling sheets feel incredible on night one, and they get softer with every wash. Made from the finest 100% organic cotton, these sheets feel buttery soft yet super breathable, so they're perfect for the warmer months ahead. One of the things that helps me relax is my beautiful Bowl and Branch sheets. You can feel the quality immediately, and they're so comfortable. Sleep better with the softest, most breathable bedding from Bowl and Branch. Go to bowlandbranch.com/ratchet for 15% off your first sheet set, plus free shipping. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/ratchet for 15% off. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those like lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
We are actuaries. In a world filled with unpredictability, We use our math skills to navigate uncertainty. Actuaries make a difference in people's lives across industries and the world. Actuaries have the freedom to work anywhere, and according to U.S. News & World Report, we're the 25th top-paying career. Make an impact as a fact seeker and a truth teller. Use your math skills for good as an actuary. The world needs you.
Last but not least, Whoopi Goldberg has a new book coming out. I didn't even look up the name of the book. I just saw the interview. I watched that interview a good 15 times. Whoopi Goldberg is, I guess, well into her 60s. Her fuck factory is finished. It is closed. There are locks on the doors. They have removed all the machinery. There are no fucks left in the fuck factory. Whoopi does not care. Whoopi wrote in her new book, she said she's been married 3 times. She said she wasn't in love with any of her husbands. She said she doesn't feel like marriage is a good fit for her. And if interviewer asked her, he said, well, why don't you want to be married? He said, you don't like to share? She said, no, I don't. I have been cackling about this for almost 24 hours. He said, Whoopi, you don't like to share? No. 60-year-old Black women are national treasures. Hold on, here it goes.
You talked about husbands. Yeah. You were married 3 times, and you have said that you were not in love with any of them and that you're not meant for marriage. Yeah. Well, why are you not meant for marriage? You don't want to share? I don't. I don't care how you feel. When you're married to somebody, you have to be invested in how they're feeling. Absolutely. I am not. I wish y'all could see Whoopi in this interview. She's smiling the whole time she's saying this. She says, no, I'm not. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not interested. No. And she's smiling with all of her teeth. This woman gives no fucks. There's so much outrage right now about Whoopi and Shaunie saying they never loved their husbands. And I was like, yeah, y'all really need to have more conversations with women. There's nothing shocking about that. I've heard that 50 million times from men and women. I would dare say the reason most people get married isn't for love. I don't think I really want to hear that take. It's kind of nihilistic. But I'm interested in reading Whoopi's book. It's called, I don't know if I said the name, Bits and Pieces. I'm reading this on People as well. My Mother, My Brother, and Me. The book will detail Goldberg's rise to fame, as well as stories of her late mother and brother. She looks really good on the cover. People know she's an EGOT winner, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, one of just a few. Whoopi looked like she got some stories. I mean, she got 3 husbands. You can also tell by the way that she gives no fucks. She's 68, by the way. I'm interested. Oh no, her book comes out May 7th. It's already out. Me being me, I'll probably read Whoopi before I read Shaunie. And that's not to say anything negative about Shaunie. I'm just, slightly more interested in Whoopi. She's lived a little longer. The basketball player who missed game 2 of the playoffs to go watch his first child born. And then Gilbert Arenas, of all people, and Draymond Green, who also choked out the guy. There's so many layers to this story. Sports, now that I'm paying attention to it more, this is not a new revelation. People have been saying this for years. I just finally get it now. It's reality TV for men. They like to clown women like, why do y'all watch that trash TV? Why do y'all watch a bunch of hyper dramatic people throw, catch, kick, and hit balls? You ain't no better. You ain't no deeper. And I'm absolutely appalled at so many men being upset at a man for missing a basketball game. Like, I understand y'all get paid a lot of money to play. It's a basketball game. Gilbert Arenas literally said of a man missing a basketball game to watch the birth of his first child. I want to quote him directly because it was a level of ignorance that I was appalled by. This is his exact quote. Because if I paraphrase it, she'd be like, D, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. Gilbert Arenas criticized the player Rudy Gobert, Gobert. He's French. It's either Gobert or Gobert, one of those. He criticized his absence at the game, again, for missing the birth of his first child. He said, quote, it's a baby, bro. It's going to be there when you get back. We hope. Yo, we got to take these microphones. As somebody with a podcast, I say this about my fellow podcasters. We got to take these microphones away from people. I mean, not for me. People literally get in front of a microphone and they say the most ignorant, dumbest shit you can possibly think of. It's a baby, bro. It's going to be there when you get back. We hope.
Rudy Gobert's girlfriend, it's not his wife, she's not a Black woman. But I think it's important to mention Black women are 3 times more likely to die during childbirth than other groups of women. The United States is abysmal when it comes to maternal care. We out here operating straight up like a third world country. It's a baby, bro. It's gonna be there when you get back. We hope. This woman is literally putting her life on the line to bring life into the world. You know how people judge whether something's important? They're like, well, is it life or death? Literally, best case scenario, it is bringing life. It's that important. Is there a possibility of death? Unfortunately, so. And you can't be bothered to show up? This woman done labored for 10 months and about to labor again for hours to literally push your big head child out of her vagina. And you think playing a basketball game is more important? All the major league sports, Major League Baseball is the only one that has any sort of paternity. Players can miss up to 3 games. Gilbert Arenas and other players who've actively criticized this man for going to the birth of his first child, their conversation isn't even, we get paid XYZ per game. Like, this is how much money would be lost. The woman's probably not working because she's on maternity leave or she's kept. Somebody has to bring the money in to pay for the family, to pay for all these things that the baby needs. That could actually be a halfway decent argument. I'm trying to help these motherfuckers out. But the argument isn't even there is no paternity leave and we could lose all this money by skipping the game. The argument is it's the playoffs. Fuck your playoffs. Fuck your playoffs. It's not that fucking serious. The playoffs are not life or death. Delivering a baby is. How does this have to be explained to grown ass people? This is why people keep choosing the bear. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. We'll talk on Tuesday. Bye.